No, okay. Am I still in shot?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay. So America has been nicknamed one of the fattest countries in the world. According to a study done in 2007 by Forbes, America is listed as the 9th fattest country in the world. The study concluded that 74% of the population of America that is aged 15 and older are unhealthy. This is a scary thought. That means that more than half of the people that we see every day are considered to be overweight. There are many things that contribute to a person getting excess weight. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, or NHLBI, an inactive lifestyle consisting of too much television, computer activity, overworking in school or your career can all contribute to obesity. They say that our society has become too reliant on cars, and that the physical demand at our jobs has decreased, which results in more sedentary lifestyles. This has become an accepted part of society because it happens to more than just a handful of people, but rather 74% of our population. However, this statistic is in regards to teenagers and adults and does not include the percentage of children that are overweight in America. And I believe this to be an extremely important aspect to this statistic. So how did this number get so high? Are children not educated enough in the early years of life and school to learn about nutrition and health? The NHLBI believes that there is a lack of knowledge when it comes to physical education in schools. So how can we fix this? I believe we as adults need to be informing children from an early age about the benefits of eating healthy and the consequences of doing the opposite. That way, as they continue through life, they will have the knowledge and the experiences to make those better decisions when it comes to food. So today I'd like to awaken you to a few of the causes of childhood obesity in America. To start off, I would like to give you some facts by the ASPE, which stands for Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation, which is a branch of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. They say, and I quote, "Being overweight during childhood and adolescence increases the risk of developing high cholesterol, hypertension, respiratory ailments, orthopedic problems, depression, and type 2 diabetes as a youth." They also say that type 2 diabetes is a main disease that is linked to obesity and is very common in overweight children. Now, what causes this? Everyone knows that there's no question that television can influence anyone to buy a product because that's the point of advertising, to sell a product to a group of people. However, people like Janice Shaw-Krause, who's a senior fellow at the Beverly LaHaye Institute, believes that because of the advertisements dealing with fast food, children are gaining that excess weight. The Advertising Coalition, as stated by Krause, has deemed over $10 billion to be spent on advertising that is geared toward young audiences, and $3 billion of that is spent specifically on fast food advertisements alone. Cartoon characters are used as the bait to get these children to want what they see on television. What Krause is saying by using these facts is that because of these tactics, children are consuming more unhealthy foods daily, which is resulting in obesity. In addition, there are companies that have changed their way of advertising to benefit the health of the viewers. For example, Nickelodeon, a few years back, would turn off their broadcasts during the middle of the day to encourage children to go out and be active. Children's brains are stimulated by bright colors, fun shapes, and cartoons, and that's why children's books are filled with pictures to keep the kids' attention. Also, cartoon characters such as the Trix Rabbit and Dora the Explorer are used to promote products. As you watch television, commercials are using cartoon characters less and less because of this issue. In an article written by Brooks Barnes in the New York Times, he says that critics feel the need to tell the government when to intervene when dealing with food advertisements. In response to these critics, many large companies such as McDonald's, Campbell's Soup, and PepsiCo have stopped using specific advertising unless the product being advertised has certain nutritional value. I see an effective solution here, and it's parents that have the responsibility to teach their children how to be healthy, because who else is going to do it? If children are in fact becoming obese because of these advertisements, then parents should take heed on that and monitor the amount of television that their children are allowed to watch. The next big reason I'd like to discuss is fast food. Fast food is a huge component in obesity today. With the busy lives that parents have, it's no wonder they rely on the convenient establishments such as McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. Because let's face it, between the baseball practices and ballet rehearsals and homework time, who has time to cook dinner? So convenience is a great thing for them. However, everyone here knows that the fast food is not great for their nutrition and health. The NHLBI says that, and I quote, "Often children are the targets of advertising for high-calorie, high-fat snacks and sugary drinks. The goal of these ads is to sway people to buy these high-calorie foods, and they often do. And this all ties back into the convenience of everything. It's cheaper and much easier to go out and buy these high-calorie, high-sugary snacks that are basically accessible at every kind of market, and it's much more difficult to find the organic, natural stuff that would benefit children and adults as well. The USDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, did a survey that was posted on the ASPE website, and it explained the changes in eating habits among children in America, and they are as follows. Children are getting more of their food away from home, and the energy intake away from home foods has increased from 20 to 32% from the years 1977 to 1996. The daily total energy intake did not significantly increase for children ages 6 to 11, but it did in adolescent boys and girls from 12 to 19 by 113 to 243 kilocalories. Daily total energy intake that children derive from energy-dense or high-calorie snacks increased by approximately 121 kilocalories. Everyone knows that breakfast is a really important part of the day, and there has actually been a decline in breakfast consumption between those years as well. And lastly, portion sizes increased from those years. Average portion sizes for salty snacks from 1 ounce to 1.6 ounces, and from 12 ounces to about 20 ounces for soft drinks. So everyone can see that everything's getting bigger. Everyone wants the biggest bang for their buck, so these kind of things are not necessarily looked at until it becomes an issue like it has today. The last cause I'd like to share with you is the problem of the lack of physical education being taught in schools. As we all know, especially here at Fullerton College, the economy's budget cuts have been taking a major toll on education. So in regards to this, along with music and art classes, PE courses in elementary schools are being cut as well. The American Heart Association is working with the government and school boards across the country to try and get physical education as a requirement for all schools. Here's a quote by them on their website. They said, "We recommend a minimum standard for elementary students of 150 minutes a week for middle schools and 225 minutes a week for high schoolers. We also recommend that successfully completing physical education should be a requirement for high school graduation. Schools should develop standards for student learning and physical education that reflect national and state standards, and should require that physical education be taught by certified teachers." I believe that if more people did what the AHA is trying to do, like making a difference and things like that, I believe the numbers of overweight children would decrease significantly, and children would have the knowledge to make those better choices. So in conclusion, the issue regarding childhood obesity is a hot button issue. It still is. Places everywhere are trying to offer more healthy alternatives to try and eliminate this problem. And I believe that this will always be something that people will struggle with, because I don't think that there's officially a way to get rid of all the unhealthy things that are in America. Organizations like the AHA are making a difference slowly but surely. Also, people like my cousin Brandy, those are my cousins. I'll just put that in there because I think they're cute. But she always offers them the healthy snacks before she offers them any other kind of thing, so they just have the knowledge to always go through the healthy stuff before they go for like cakes or cookies or anything like that. So people say that children are our future, so I believe that we should help them make it the best that they can be. Thank you.
All right, Bianca, what did you think? Bianca's not here? Well, that makes it complicated for her to get points for that. Oh, you know what? That might work. Yeah, that doesn't help. All right. Well, I guess I'll just do it, and we'll worry about it later. The attention device I thought was fine, and your topic is very clear. Your thesis statement comes a little bit later in the section, and I thought it was, it really sounded like you had first a persuasive claim, and then you got to your thesis. So I think you want to be a little bit careful about the stuff that comes right before your specific purpose statement, because it really sounded like you had multiple claims there. But I could pick out what was your purpose statement, because you used the language that we talked about. You had a good justification for listening to the subject at the beginning, and you had lots of statistics that draw us in. I didn't really hear a very clear preview of what was going to be said, and in fact the transitions are the main problem that I had with the speech. But the material is topically organized, and the sections are pretty distinct. and we'll talk about those as we go on. The material itself, lots of supporting material cited consistently. That's good. Your explanations are usually pretty good. Sometimes I think you need to slow down a little bit and give us an illustration or example. On the advertising thing, for instance, we finally got a visual reference with the Dora the Explorer and the Trix Rabbit, for example, but I think we could use some other explanations about how that kind of advertising directly to children influences their purchasing or their consumption habits. Like I said, it was topically organized, so it wasn't that hard to follow, but the transitions were very awkward. It was like sharp bat turn every time you got to a new point. You hit the parachute, out it pops, and boom, you're in the next section. You need smoother transitions between the points, so it sounds... and just a little internal summary. Well, now that we got a pretty good idea about how it is that kids have been targeted by advertisers to become consumers, let's look at what kind of stuff they're really consuming. So that brings us to the second point, and then you can talk about those kinds of things. And now that we know that we're not eating so well, we're complicating it by the fact that we're not doing any exercise either. So you need something that just moves, because it was just... Right. The third thing is, and it needs to be smoother than that. The visuals are okay. You have some that create interest. I didn't think any really added a lot to the understanding of the subject. You had one slide up there that had like 6 points on it that were all these factors that were contributing to obesity, and it's all narrative, some of it with statistics in it, and it's almost like you're just reading along with what you've got up there, and I don't think that works very well. I was thinking about the visualization sort of thing, and just as an example of one way to visualize it, you have there's one of those bullet points that talked about how the serving size of foods have changed. Well, there's a perfect example. Let's see the cereal bowl from 1977 and the cereal bowl from 1997, or let's see the size of the Coke bottle in 1973 versus the size of the Coke bottle in 2009. That sort of thing. That would be a better way to visualize the idea than just putting the narrative up there on the screen, which doesn't really help that much. I did feel a lot like you were rushing in the presentation. We're going to work on delivery things on the next speech, but that you need to pace yourself a little bit more, and I think part of it feels excessively rushed also because right at the end you kind of are zipping through to get to your exit line, and you just skimped over all that stuff about your cousins, and it would have been better to tell a story or make it a little bit more involving there. All right, thank you.